Good evening and welcome to Montpelier Civic Forum 2026. And we are preparing for Town Meeting 2026. And I have seated next to me a regular, Libby Bonesteel, our superintendent from the Montpelier Roxbury School District. Libby, welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
How many budgets have you drafted?
Well, this is my 8th year as superintendent, so I would imagine this is my 8th budget. I know a lot more now than I used to.
Do the budgets get any easier to draft?
The process, yes. My understanding of the financial formula, yes. Budgets in general, no.
So this is one of those circumstances like Bruce Springsteen says, when my band played for $500 a night, I had $500 problems. Now my band plays for $5 million a night, I've got $5 million problems. So that first budget, in essence, was just as difficult to put together in its own way as this one.
I will be honest, 8 years ago when I was forming our first budget with our then business manager, Grant Geisler, Grant did a lot of the process because it's so complicated, I just wasn't aware enough of what to know and what to not know. So I've learned over the years.
What's the team now? What is the team working on the budget from your administrative perspective? Who else is working on it with you?
Sure. It's myself and Mike Conchesi, who's our new Chief Financial Officer, who took over for Christina Kimball this year. And then my central office leadership team, and there's 4 of us in the central office leaders. And then the principals and assistant principals largely take a big role in budget development.
Now, who are our present principals and how long have they been in their positions?
Jason Gingold is at Montpelier High School. This is his 4th year, I believe. Julie Conrad is at Main Street Middle School, and this is also her 4th year. And then Rachel Whalen is at Union Elementary School, and this is her 1st year.
How's she adjusting? How does she like?
It was a tough turnaround. Rachel has been a long-time educator for us at Union Elementary School. She's phenomenal, and she's doing a fantastic job.
And she has Linda Beaupre working with her.
She does.
Who's been there seemingly forever.
She is our record of institutional knowledge, yes.
The budget. How does it start? Is this an inductive or a deductive budget? Does the school district say we would like to keep the increase at this amount? Do they talk about keeping programs steady? How does the budget start, or does it build from each unit going up into what it ends up?
This process has changed over the last few years. It used to be the leadership team gathered together and said, let's dream big. What do we need? What do we want? And then move down from there. Because of the financial pressures of the last few years, we've completely switched that since Act 127, pretty much, which was
what is
2
Act
years
127?
ago. It's when they changed the weighting formula for the students.
And when was that passed?
2 years ago.
Okay.
2 years ago. And so that really changed. It puts a lot more financial pressures on us. So the way that we look at it now is that I pay a whole lot of attention to what's happening at the state level, as does Mike with his connection to other business managers in the state. So we have an understanding of what our pressures will be in every budget season. We share those pressures with our administrative team. We share those pressures with the board, and that starts in November with the pressures. And then we look at what our current budget is. We honestly do not have a lot of wiggle room in our budget to make tremendous changes one way or the other, because salaries and benefits take up so much of the pot, and the rest of it.
But they always have.
They always have, yeah, but there is always other factors that we could play with or contend with, or the factors from the state level were not as significant and impactful as they are now. And so we usually start with level programming and say, is this what we want? Do we have what we want? We start with priorities, administrative priorities, and then say, is this what we want for our level programming? To that extent, the community has supported us building human resource capacity over the last few years, thankfully. And so we have a stellar program now.
Stellar in what sense? What's the metric for saying it's a stellar program?
Yeah, we score about 20 points above the state average in all the state assessments in nearly every grade level in math and reading. Our graduation percentage is 96%. Our kids at Montpelier High School, which is an indicator of our K-12 system, score way above the national average in SAT scores. Our AP classes have increased by 136% enrollment, and 86% of our kids score a 3 or better on AP tests. So
And you have one of the most kick Latin programs left in New England.
We do have a good Latin program, yes, with a new Latin teacher. So we just offer quite a bit. The personalization that we're able to do in the leadership capacity in the community, starting with the Kindness Club at Union Elementary School, working through the sustainability work with Don Taylor at the middle school and into the flexible pathways at the high school, is tremendous for students where they can truly design their own path. So we have a lot of things going for our students.
What about the students on lower income, the students with special needs, those students who are not, in that mainstream of upper middle class or middle class students? What about those students? We've always had some difficulty, as everyone else does, reaching our academic achievement with them. Are we improving, or?
We've seen growth in the area, absolutely. We have tremendous multi-tiered systems of supports for kids, so we have multiple avenues for kids to get the support so that learning is not the variable, time is the variable, and if kids need more time learning what we're needing them to learn, then we provide it for them. So we're making some areas of growth in terms of our opportunity gaps between low income and special education.
What about our special needs students?
Same thing. We're making growth indicators. We have growth indicators around the achievement scores in special education.
And I believe that the board has focused attention on that as a district goal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, reducing our opportunity gaps there.
What about our kids going to the Career Center? Are we maintaining stasis with the same approximate number? Are we increasing or decreasing?
Yeah, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I don't remember any kind of real dips or soars there. It was gradually increasing for a little bit, but I believe we've leveled off. I think we have between 15, I think we have around 15 kids going.
Now, you're not only juggling a local budget, you're juggling the state contribution, and in terms of special needs and the like, you're a federal contribution as well. Mm-hmm. How has the federal contribution fared in the last several years?
Right now, we've seen no change, and we anticipate that for next year, with the exception of Title II dollars. And Title II dollars are dollars that are dedicated to professional learning for teachers. We are anticipating, however, we don't know yet, that the federal government will not fund Title II in the same way that they've funded it in the past. But we also anticipate that Title I will stay the same or
Title I being?
Title I is dedicated to services for students who are not learning at the speed we want them to learn at. And so we anticipate that those will stay the same or slightly increase. Special education funding is not changing from what we understand.
The chaos in the U.S. Department of Education, how has that affected down on your level? I know it must affect the state. How is it affected on your level?
We haven't seen many effects as of yet, quite honestly. We haven't seen, I think it's more of an instability factor of belief and perception more than actual detriments to our school system at this time.
Will it ultimately affect assessment, regional assessment testing, do you think?
The federal government and the statewide testing? I can't anticipate that, no, because the state testing is at the Agency of Education, which is a state level organization, not a federal level organization. The major pieces at the federal level that I can see is that they're eliminating positions, and so there'll be less people doing the work, and it's not like people are sitting twiddling their thumbs, I would imagine. So I can imagine that we will have a slower turnaround in things like federal grants.
In putting together the budget, you said there was very little wiggle room, that you have very little. Then ultimately, when you talk about the budget, you're talking about the State House determining how they want to deal with the subsidy of education in Vermont.
To an extent, yeah.
Do you cheat and talk to Ann Watson about what?
Well, I do talk to Ann Watson quite a bit for being her teacher and a senator.
She teaches physics. She's also in the state Senate.
She is. She's not on the education committee, though.
But do you cheat and ask her what's coming down the pike from her perspective?
I have a good relationship with all of our senators and representatives. So Kate McCann is a representative. She's
See, I
on
was
the
gonna
House
say,
Education.
Representative Cummings, Senator Cummings.
Yep, I talk to Senator Cummings with the Senate Finance quite a bit. So I have a good relationship with all of our legislators that represent us.
Explain to us whether the number we have right now is solid?
The number for our budget?
Yeah, for our budget, or?
It's never solid at this time. It's always a prediction.
Okay.
So-
You've gone through 8 of these rodeos before. What do you think this prediction will look like? You've got different views on how much of the state budget should go to blunting property tax increases.
So there's 4 factors that influence our ultimate tax rate and budget. One being how much we spend. That is pretty much set. That's what we've warned to our voters right now. The second is what our weighted daily membership is. So that means not the number of students we have, but how students are weighted.
Can you explain, in less than, we don't have 2 hours, can you explain weighting in several minutes?
Oh, yeah. So there are several categories that students are weighted more. So secondary students are weighted more than elementary students. Students who speak multiple languages and qualify for multilingual services are weighted more. Students from low-income families are weighted more than a typical kid. So kids get a weight based on those identifiers, and then we get a final number. So that's one of 4 significant factors that goes into our budget. That's
As well
set.
as the number of students.
Well, it would be the weights times the
Exactly.
number of students, yeah.
How are our student populations holding up at the 3 schools?
We are pretty steady. We have a very steady count right now. We're not anticipating a significant increase or a significant decrease.
Country Club Road, have they talked to you and projected at all how that will impact the schools?
No.
Assuming that it's ultimately built, you won't
If
be
it's
steady
ultimately
anymore.
built, then we've got more kids coming in. That's
That's
fantastic.
That's what I was going to say. You should have more school more school kids. In terms of the state contribution again, when do you think you will learn how much state funding is coming in to get that final number?
You mean the buy down?
Exactly.
So the third factor in the budget is the dollar yield, and the buy down affects the dollar yield. That dollar yield does not come into, the legislators have to vote it into law. It's basically the budget bill has to vote it into law, and that won't happen until June this year.
Oh, okay, so
And
the budget is what the budget
Yep,
is.
yep. So that buy down will come into play in June.
Can you explain, again, this is a very complicated topic. Can you explain why the people in Roxbury are freaking out at this budget?
Well, the fourth factor is the common level of appraisal, or the CLA. And CLAs are to ensure that each town pays their fair share in taxes to the education fund. And when towns are reappraised, so the last time Roxbury was reappraised, I believe, in 2022. And the last time Montpelier was reappraised was in 2023. And those appraisals need to match what the home values are. And when you have a longer gap between when houses were appraised and the tax year you're in, that real value versus appraised value gets further and further apart. And we think what happened in Roxbury, though we're not sure because we don't do the appraisals, but we think what happened in Roxbury is that they had a few homes that sold for a lot of money this year, and it really made their CLA decrease precipitously. So when your CLA goes lower, your tax rate goes higher.
And because they've got such a small sample size.
Yep, yep. So when a few multi-million-dollar homes sell, then that will impact your CLA. And so their CLA has decreased, and so their tax rate, regardless of what we do, is going to increase considerably because of the appraisal.
So whereas when Roxbury joined Montpelier into the unified district, the Montpelier rate was rising higher than the Roxbury rate. Now you've got the other side, right?
I can't, I'd have to look at our graphs to see if that's accurate, but I believe that's true. I'm not positive, though.
But there's nothing you can do about it.
There's truly
they
nothing we can
about it.
do about it, no. They can ask for a revision to their CLAs, and I believe the town is talking about that right now.
How is the integration with Roxbury working? How many years in now?
This would be our third year.
How is that going?
Great. Our
With
students
the
are doing
closing
great.
of the elementary school, did most of those parents choose?
Yes.
And I assume that their experience has been very positive.
I think the children's experience has been very positive. I think that the Montpelier is not close to Roxbury, and so that will always
was
be a
always
source of consternation. And I think the students are doing just great.
What about the after-school program that
Mm-hmm.
was instituted there as part of the closure of the school? Did that happen?
Yep, it still is in place. Right now, it's happening at Union Elementary School in Montpelier because of the sale, because there's just this weird spot. We're in between of giving them the building and them getting all the systems set up again. So hopefully that after-school program will start again in March out in Roxbury, because it's a very valued part of their community. And it's a great program. Casey Searles runs it, and she does a really good job with the programming for kids.
In terms of, okay, pause for a second, please. The capital budget. Is there a capital budget written into this budget?
Yes.
Can you explain, one, the difference between the capital and the operating budget and what the capital budget request looks like?
So right now, the school board has put in $285,000 as a request to the capital fund. The capital fund is a reserved savings account, essentially, for major projects to try to avoid bonding, having to go out to the town to get a bond. So right now, it's slated to go towards windows at Union Elementary School and Main Street Middle School. And so it's basically asking the community to put a large lump sum away for facilities, major facilities improvements.
The improvements at Main Street Middle School, if we were someday to merge with Washington Central, wouldn't that school likely be closed?
I can't make that comment. I don't know. We'd have to do a lot of digging and conversations around our
I
community.
mean, we would have the Montpelier High School for the middle school kids, assuming, or we would have Montpelier High School for the current U32 kids and the Montpelier kids, and then we would have that facility. It seems like that facility would be the odd man out.
We'd have to have lots of community discussions before those
Would we
decisions were made.
possibly be putting windows into a facility that
No.
discussion hasn't been made on yet?
No, right now, Main Street Middle School, we're only replacing the windows on the bottom floor, the floor that's right next to the ground. And the reason being is those are egress windows for kids. And right now, in certain weather, when it becomes warm at all, those windows can't be opened unless you're with three very large individuals trying to open the windows. So right now, the windows that are being replaced are a safety concern for kids, and they're egress windows.
What else is in besides the windows in the request? Is that just the request?
It's primarily going to windows. We are also working on the Main Street Middle School playground to revamp that a bit. And so we're putting some money towards that too, which will be a beautiful community asset for that side of town.
Actually, I was part of the parents who raised the gazebo years ago. Surprised I volunteered. What about the track at the high school? Is that eventually going to end up happening?
Not to my knowledge, no.
That's a shame. It is what it is. What else is in the capital budget that couldn't get funded besides the track? What else is in the wish list? If you had more money, we would do in a capital sense with our schools.
Yeah, we have some things that are like not exciting projects, like new equipment for, I'm not even going to be able to use the right term, Richard, for, water circulation through Union Elementary School. We need to renovate some of that equipment in the basement at Union, which is a big dollar amount. But they're not like fancy projects. They're nuts and bolts projects that need to happen just to ensure that the buildings function the way they're supposed to.
The building functioning the way it's supposed to, what changes do you see that could be made to the high school to spare it from flooding again?
We have made the changes that need to, so we needed a new door to where most of the water came down. We've sealed that off, so that won't happen again. We've also moved all electrical equipment out of the basement, so it's on the first floor. And so we've done primarily, so now if water came in, it's coming into an empty basement, and then it will go out again without anything really in there.
Are there any new non-monetary programmatic initiatives going on in the district?
Not in this budget. This is primarily, it's not completely, but it's primarily a level programmed budget, meaning that our programming is similar to what we're currently functioning with.
What are the areas that you would like to strengthen simply from tightening up the curriculum, moving, certain curricular items around that don't require the expenditure of money?
Yeah, we're really focused on math instruction right now. Our math scores are not as high as our reading scores. And so we're doing a lot of work on, as our curriculum solid, are the level of problems that we're putting in front of kids up to the level of rigor of what they're being tested at? Do our teachers have the content knowledge to teach math really well? So we're putting a lot of money and time into how do we teach math. We're also putting a lot of money and time into developing a common instructional framework that doesn't matter what content you teach or what age you teach, but just defines good teaching for Montpelier Roxbury, so we're all working off of the same principles. So we have teacher groups working on that right now. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and social emotional learning is always going to be a focus of ours to ensure that our students feel like they belong in our schools. And everybody feels they're valued in our system. So that's always going to be a focus as well.
I ask this every year. Matt McLean's program, what is the name of that and how is that faring?
Matt is our director of Flexible Pathways. We have the most robust Flexible Pathways program in the state, hands down, bar none.
What is Flexible Pathways?
So it's basically students can design programming and learning for themselves that they're interested in that is outside of the walls of the school. So right now we have several students who are very involved with the senior center. It's called our Feast program, and that's developing food for our seniors and Meals on Wheels, and they work there a lot doing that work, and they're learning all kinds of skills in that programming. And the senior center, to my understanding, absolutely adore these students and love them.
And they're scattered throughout businesses throughout the area.
Yeah, we have over 100 community-based partners who work with our students in the area.
In terms of, if you'd stop for 1 second, let's get to the question of Washington Central and the Montpelier Roxbury district. I know there's talks. Can you discuss at all where those talks are and where they might go and where it's hoped they will go?
So there's 2 school boards commissioned a feasibility study that was done by Tracy Rend this past fall, and all the feasibility study did was to get numbers and data on the table. It gave no opinions, it was not subjective, it was just objective. This is what each district offers students, and this is the building composition, that kind of thing. So Tracy put all of that together for us, and that's as far as we've gone, as far as our school boards.
Is that publicly available? Mm-hmm. It's on the website?
Yeah. It would be in the board materials from a fall board meeting. As far as the legislature, you'd have to ask them as to what they have plans for our 2 districts, because I think that's probably a fait incomplete or whatever that term is with the legislature and Act 73.
Act 73 being?
The consolidation of school districts as well as revamping the funding formula for education in Vermont.
Boy, this is one that's a timely question and difficult for me to put my arms around. Kids who are undocumented, whose families are undocumented, who are in the school, do you even know if they're undocumented?
No, I don't know.
And you don't want to know?
There's no need for me to know. They're kids in my school, and I love them just as much as anybody other kid.
Have you ever had any pressure whatsoever applied to provide information on that?
No.
In the hypothetical that you would simply say, I don't know and I don't want to know.
Yeah, and we have laws protecting kids and their privacy. So FERPA is a privacy law that we're not allowed to give student information out. to just anybody. So we have laws that guide that principle.
And you honor that principle?
Of course we do. I value my job very much, and I value my kids' privacy.
I was going to say the kids and the family as well.
Mm-hmm.
The students are concerned about immigration enforcement.
I think everybody is right now, yes.
Is there a club? There's tons of clubs at that school. Is there a club for kids who are concerned?
Not that I know of. We have Club Action, which is a social service and justice club, but I don't know if we have one specifically dedicated to immigration.
Next year, what do you foresee for the district that's different than this year? Even though you got the tightest budget that you produced in years.
I know, we do. I think it's continuing really good work that we're doing. This year has felt good. We're on a really good trajectory and seeing a lot of growth in our students and our teachers, so I would anticipate that to continue. I think Act 73 in the legislative process is putting a lot of stress, sometimes unnecessarily so, on our system, so it's my job to keep that stress away from my educators so they can do the good work educating kids. So we'll see what happens with that.
Now, leave on a happy note. What about the extras? How's your ultimate team this coming year?
I don't know.
How's your basketball team?
Our basketball team is rebuilding a bit. They're doing okay, but our boys basketball team lost a lot of big time players in the last couple of years, so they're rebuilding. But I'm not
Your soccer
sure.
teams?
Soccer teams did okay. Field hockey won the state championship. Our field hockey team this past fall. Our Nordics, our runners and our Nordic, our endurance athletes are always excellent. So.
Your drama.
Oh yeah, we have a fantastic MASK program. That a lot of dedicated
What
kids
does
to that
MASK stand
program.
for?
MASK is the drama program,
Right.
And so it's a lot of dedicated kids in that area who are some of whom are seniors and really interested in continuing theatrical education as they go to college. So they're really into it.
Your music programs.
Oh, I just went to a sixth grade classroom, strings classroom with Allie Tarwater, our teacher there, and the kids had just composed original pieces, and they were having a listening session of the original pieces they composed, and it was just amazing.
And then to loop back to the budget, for the average household of $300,000, what will the projected tax increase be?
I can't tell you that because there's a lot of pieces that go into it. So it depends on somebody's income sensitive, I can't tell you exactly what that's going to be.
What do you think the increase will be?
In Montpelier, it will be nominal. In Montpelier, there will be very little
And we're
increase.
not even going to talk about Roxbury for reasons.
In Roxbury, if you're not income sensitive, it will be good. It will be a big increase.
So what's your final message to Montpelier citizens in advocacy of your budget?
I would say to support our kids and our educators. We're doing really good work in our schools. And I encourage anybody to check us out and the exciting things that kids are doing and get involved. And when you see kids, ask them what they're doing because they're phenomenal.
Libby, thank you for the 8th. I look forward to the 9th next year.
All right.
When we meet again. This has been Montpelier Civic Forum, and I'd urge everyone, as always, to get out and vote on town meeting day. It has a great meaning to just get there with your neighbors and weigh in. Thank you.